When snooker fans talk about the greatest brands in the sport's history, one name stands above all others: Riley. For over a century, this Manchester-born company was the heartbeat of professional snooker itself. But what happened to this legendary brand is one of the most shocking collapses in sporting history. And the story of how snooker's biggest name fell from grace will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the business side of our beloved sport. This is the rise and catastrophic fall of Riley in just 2 decades. E.J. Riley started as a humble sports shop in Manchester in 1897, but what Edward John Riley built would become nothing short of extraordinary. The man himself was passionate about sports, a cricket and tennis enthusiast who was also regarded as one of the best amateur billiard players in his area. But E.J. had bigger dreams than just playing games. He wanted to create them. By 1896, the company was incorporated as E.J. Riley Limited, with a capital of £10,000. 2 years later, they moved to Accrington, where they built something unprecedented, a production room which was 120 yards long. And then came the moment that changed everything. In 1903, professional snooker players Charles Dawson and W.H. Stevenson were given the freedom to choose which table they wanted for their championship match. To the great embarrassment of the association, which had strong links with the leading London firms, the players selected a model made by Riley's. The establishment was furious. Only 4 manufacturers had ever supplied tables for championship matches, and Riley wasn't one of them. It is widely accepted that the enterprising Riley's management had given considerable financial encouragement to the 2 players to make this selection. Brilliant or controversial, either way, it worked. The publicity was priceless for Riley's, which continued to grow and expand their business. What happened next was nothing short of remarkable. By 1908, the capital was again increased to £160,000, and in 1910, they went into the billiard hall business, opening the Ardwick Hall, Manchester, with 40 full-size tables. The numbers tell the story of absolute dominance. In 1910, their sales were just over 4,000 tables per year, and 3 years later, this figure had increased to 5,500. For perspective, that's producing more than 15 tables every single day. The company then owned nearly 40 billiard halls and had reached the peak of prosperity and achievement. And this leads to the company owning significant chunks of the entire industry. But the most impressive achievement came decades later. They struck an important deal with the WPBSA in 1992 when their Riley Aristocrat table became the official and exclusive table used for all world snooker ranking tournaments. This was the company that supplied tables to tournaments for over a decade. Despite exporting its products to 67 countries throughout the world, Riley had become the undisputed global leader in professional snooker equipment. But even at the height of their success, cracks were starting to show. Not all of Riley's acquisitions were beneficial, and their purchase of Leisure Industries in Bidford, a miniature and toy table manufacturer, was a financial disaster. Bought for £7 million, it was sold soon afterwards for a substantial loss. That disastrous acquisition had consequences that would haunt the company for years, causing the Riley share price to plummet and leaving them vulnerable to a takeover. Suddenly, the world's premier snooker table manufacturer was owned by a company that specialized in nightlife entertainment. In the late 1990s, the business was again troubled and was then acquired by one of the well-known snooker cloth suppliers, who in 1997 merged E.J. Riley and Hazel Grove along with Greenmaster Bowls into one organization called Riley Leisure Limited. In 1999, the Riley billiard table business was the subject of a £2.2 million management buyout. For a moment, it seemed like the original team might be able to save what E.J. Riley had built over a century earlier. They tried to modernize and expand. Shortly afterwards, the acquisition of pool table manufacturer Avante saw a new concentration on snooker and pool tables for the home. But it was too little, too late. However, the deal was quickly in trouble, with blame being placed on restructuring costs of combining the businesses to together with lack of capital. That resulted in the huge loss, which caused the company failure. In late 2002, the administrators appointed the receivers to liquidate the business. And just like that, 125 years of history came to an end. The factory, by then based in Hapton, closed its doors in 2002. Riley Leisure, one of the biggest names in billiard table manufacture, has collapsed with £3.5 million of debt and has been trading in administration since November. The company that had once employed hundreds of craftsmen was gone. The works in Burnley, which employed 113 people, closed its doors for the last time in December 2002. Fittings and surplus stock were sold off by auction at the Burnley Works on the 16th of January 2003. Everything that E.J. Riley had built was literally being sold piece by piece to the highest bidder. Rights to the brand were acquired by competitor BCE, who continues to use the Riley name for one of their product lines. BCE also ensured the names lived on, rebranding their range to use Riley's. On the surface, it looks like Riley survived. Today, Riley and BCE snooker tables continue to be made entirely in the UK. Endorsed by world snooker champion Ronnie O'Sullivan, the modern Riley brand even has some credible backing. But here's the harsh reality that every snooker enthusiast needs to understand. This isn't the same company that E.J. Riley built. However, the Rileys of Accrington ceased to exist when in late 2002, the administrators appointed the receivers to liquidate the business. What exists today is BCE using the Riley name on their products. Sure, it looks the same from the outside, but the soul of the original is gone forever. Walk into any serious snooker forum or collector community and you'll immediately understand what was lost. Original Riley tables and cues from the pre-2002 era are treated like precious artifacts. They represent craftsmanship from an era when snooker equipment was built by artisans who understood the soul of the game. The modern Riley products might carry endorsements from top players, but collectors and enthusiasts know the difference. They're hunting for the tables that carry the heritage of E.J. Riley's original vision, not the commercial products of a company that happened to buy the naming rights. How does a company that dominated an industry for over a century simply disappear? The Riley story is a masterclass in how even the strongest brands can crumble when they lose sight of what made them special. The original E.J. Riley company was about pushing the boundaries of what snooker could be. They took risks, they innovated, and they fought to earn their place among the sport's elite manufacturers. But somewhere along the way, the focus shifted from excellence to expansion, from craftsmanship to corporate maneuvering. E.J. started work as a bank clerk. He left to open his own sports shop, but failed twice. When he finally succeeded, he built something that lasted over a century. But his successors couldn't maintain what he had created, and the brand that had survived 2 world wars couldn't survive poor business decisions in peacetime. Today, when you watch professional snooker, you're not watching it on Riley tables. The company that once held the exclusive contract for all world snooker ranking tournaments is nothing more than a name on products made by someone else. The Riley story should serve as a wake-up call for every major brand in snooker today. No matter how dominant you become, no matter how secure your market position seems, everything can disappear faster than you think possible. Riley wasn't killed by competition from better products. They were brought down by poor business decisions, ill-conceived acquisitions, and a loss of focus on what made them special in the first place. What do you think? Could something like the Riley collapse happen to one of today's major snooker brands? And do you believe that the modern Riley products can ever truly capture the prestige of the original company? And that's a wrap on today's video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and for more snooker content, click the screen below.